Welcome to Eric Lofholm's daily 15-minute motivational call. That's better than a cup of coffee. Congratulations for setting your attention to make this an outstanding day and being here for us to share a positive, uplifting message with you today. My name is Gary Wilbers. I'm a trainer with Eric Lofholm, and I want to thank Eric Lofholm and Thomas Parkinson for the opportunity to share a message with you today. Remember I talked about charge, create habits around real goals every day? I want to share with you more on the leadership time solution because to me, this is the number one thing we can do to be more productive, to be more motivated, to achieve our goals, dreams, and ambitions. I love sharing a quote with you, so I've got one for you today. Time management is not about managing time, but what we do with our time. Think about that. Time management is not about managing time, but what do we do with your time? It's Monday morning. We've got our plans, our strategies, our things we want to tackle this week. The question we have to ask ourselves as we go through that week is how will we make that happen? So last week I talked to you about the PRO system that I've implemented, and I'll cover those again. P is for peak productivity time, taking 90-minute blocks and setting aside productive time for my most important projects, tasks, or opportunities that I have available to me. And then you've got to have that recovery time. Hopefully this weekend you got some recovery time and you took time away, enjoyed time with your family, friends, or with people that are most important to you. And then it's about distinguishing true office time. Because what tends to happen is we allow office time to take over our productivity time. We receive over 147 emails a day. Do we allow that to drive and dictate our time? Do we spend too much time there and not get to our projects? So as I share this with audiences, what I really like to tell them is we've got to have a system for high achievement, and it will take a disciplined effort in order to generate the necessary behaviors to make your time the most productive. Stop and think about that. First, you must have a system of follow. Then you must discipline yourself to follow the system before your behavior changes. Most people allow one day to lead into another without any real planning about how their days will evolve. So what I want you to think about today is, what is your system? Who do you think is the most productive? Somebody that you know that you think is very productive. Ask them, do they have a system? I bet they do. We all have some sort of system, but it takes time for us to implement that system. So I want to tell you, as you're putting this in place, you're going to be challenged because the first thing that happens anytime you implement a new system, there's going to be cleanups that you have to do. Maybe your office is a mess and your desk is covered with papers. Now you're going to have to do something if you want to get more organized with those papers to be able to make more productive time for yourself. And then sometimes we have other people that we could delegate to, but we always think it's easier if we do it ourselves. So think today, right now, what is something that you could delegate to one of your staff members if you have a staff member that you no longer would have to take care of? What would that be? And then make a plan this week that you delegate that item. Don't just hand it over to them. Truly delegate and go through what needs to be done for them to be able to accomplish it to make it successful. And ultimately, when we take that time to get organized and we delegate items, it allows us then to spend more time in that peak productivity time where we can truly take those 90-minute time blocks and be able to get more things accomplished and achieved throughout each week. So the first thing I want you to do is I want to have you take an inventory right now and write 3 activities for yourself that you want to increase in the areas of the PRO system? So the peak productivity time. What's 3 activities you would do in that? What's 3 activities you would do in recovery time where you truly took off and you had time for yourself? What would those be? And then in the last area, what's the 3 activities that you would do in office time? Ask yourself that question. Make a list. And then as you make that list, then create actions that you can implement in each of those areas. Now, when I look at my week, I do what I call a weekly plan. It takes no longer than 30 minutes. I just did it about an hour ago. And I've created my weekly plan for the week. And when I do this, I look at my top 3 accomplishments from last week, and I write them down. What did I accomplish last week? I do that because I want to create momentum for my next week. Sometimes our motivation gets low because we don't give ourselves credit for what we did achieve last week. So what's the 3 things you accomplished last week? Write them down. Then I look at what are my top 3 projects or my most important items that I want to move forward this week. I may not always get them completed. Sometimes it's about moving them forward. For myself, I have a big presentation on Thursday that I'm doing for a company on generational communication. So I have to prep for that. I've got to be prepared for it. And then on Thursday, I need to deliver an excellent presentation so that comes off. So that's one of mine. What are your 3 projects or most important things that you want to move forward this week? And then let's look at what is somebody that I want to be able to say thank you. Maybe a positive action, a positive comment. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. If you have that significant other, have you taken time to decide how you're going to let them know how important they are to you? Maybe you need to pick up a card. Maybe you need to pick up a box of chocolates. Maybe you need to pick up those roses. You can determine what that is, but what are those actions that you want to do for others? And then I have what I call my executive dashboard, where I list out some of my items that I want to be able to get done. And then there's a part of mine that is also what I call my team dashboard. What do I want to do with my person that works with me and the projects that they have? What do they have on the plate for them? What are their items that I need them to get accomplished and I know that needs to move forward? We're updating our website right now. So my assistant is working on that item. Well, what do I need to do to help her move that forward? So when you take a look at your weekly plan, it really starts you to set up for success. I've been doing a weekly plan for probably about 15 years now. And the weeks that I do not complete it, I feel like I'm disorganized. I'm not prepared. So my question to you is, do you create yourself a weekly plan? Or do you just go into the week and you just get started and then whatever comes up, comes up? You can't plan everything out, but if you can plan your major projects, your time that you're going to use, and you manage that time, you're going to get more accomplished. And then it comes from taking it to a weekly plan to what I call a daily dashboard. And a daily dashboard is just setting up what are my major things that I want to get accomplished today. I just did this about 30 minutes ago. And what's my priorities for today? What must I complete today no matter what? And then I've got a few phone calls to make. So I list out those people that I need to reach out to. Who do I need to reach out today? Who am I waiting on maybe for a response? And then I come back to those 3 major projects. What are the 3 major things that's going to help me move forward to progress, to achieve my goals, to reach what I want to reach, and reach those dreams, those goals and ambitions that I have throughout the week? What do I need to do? Think about that for yourself. Write down, if you've got a piece of paper, if you're not driving right now in the vehicle, write down, what are 3 things that if I got these accomplished this week, it would make me feel so good? It would make me be motivated about moving forward next week. As you do that, you see, the challenge is sometimes it's about creating the habits. I have a form that I've created, and you can do this. Put 100 boxes on a form of squares, and every time you want to really achieve something, like maybe doing your daily dashboard, make a check mark. And every day you do it, and you do it in succession, make a check mark on it. Now, the first day that you miss of creating your daily dashboard, you got to start with a new color. And then start with that new color. Start making it a consistent habit. And when you do it day 1, day 2, day 3, day 20, day 30, then it starts to be a habit. And when you don't do it, you'll miss it. It will work for exercise. It will work for anything that you want to do. I used it when I started writing my book that I wrote last year. I had a hard time getting myself started to write. So the challenge was, the hardest thing every day was to sit there to take time to write. So what I did is I had this in a very visual spot where I did my writing, and the days that I didn't feel like writing, I wrote because I didn't want to break the chain. I wanted to continue the chain of writing. Now, I will admit, some days I only wrote a paragraph. Other days I wrote 5 or 6 pages. But I was able to publish my book in October of last year because I started that habit in January of writing and getting it accomplished. And what a feeling that was when I finished it and I published the book. That was a motivation to me to move forward. But I had to start that little habit of writing. I had a lot of it inside of me, but I would not write it down. And by starting that habit, I was able to do it. So when you look at the Leadership Time Solution, it's a productivity tool that benefits your life both personally and professionally. When I began talking about this, last week I talked about it a little bit, and this week, the whole key is we want to find how can we get that extra hour each day. And it's about putting a system in place. You can't have that extra hour each day and be successful unless you have a system that you put in place. Remember, it takes time. It's not going to be perfection when you start out with. It's going to take time for you to build. But I guarantee you, if you continue the process, you will see every day you'll get better at working your time and making your time the most valuable. And that framework then allows you to improve each day, week, month, and year. Now, it really comes down to self-esteem. It will help you achieve the goal. And John Turney and Roy Bossmeister, authors of Willpower, says it this way: and two demonstrated benefits from high self-esteem. One, it increases our initiative because it leads to confidence. People with high self-esteem are more willing to act on their beliefs, stand up for what they believe, approach others, and risk new undertakings. And it feels good. High self-esteem seems to operate like a bank of positive emotions, which furnish and generate a sense of well-being and can be useful when you need an extra dose of confidence to cope with misfortune, ward off depression, or recover from failure. So my challenge to you today is create your weekly plan, create your daily dashboard, and make this be an effective and productive day for yourself. Remember, time management is not about managing time, but what do we do with that time? I thank you for joining us today for Eric Lofholm's Daily Motivational Call. Once again, this is Gary Wilbers. On behalf of myself and the entire Eric Lofholm community, always remember, you have greatness inside of you. Make it a great day. Thanks for joining me today.